Shalom, family. Good to see everybody here. Hope everybody's enjoying your day. And we're going to talk about, again, the birth rate and women that are just simply saying, I don't want any children, and that is getting louder and louder up in this society. People are saying, with all the inflation, they can't afford to have children, or they can barely take care of themselves. And I certainly understand that. So they're now coming up with, they're still heavily fighting the A word. And they're now trying to change the divorce laws where it's difficult for women to get out of relationships because they want them to stay and have babies. And these things are not turning anything around. America's still got a low birth rate. Okay. So let's get into it. I think I pulled up the, hold on one second. Here we go. All right, I'm going to share my screen. All right. Now, they said there are a lot of older women, some that waited for themselves to get their education and to get their career started. And these older women, ladies and gentlemen, tend to only want maybe one child. Thank you, dark skinned brother. I should have asked, and everybody see the screen. Okay. So an article came out recently saying that America's falling population is a concern for economists. But it's not just America, it's actually a global decline in babies. So, so it's apparent, and people are panicking that the global decline in birth rate is happening. But y'all, we are in those times. It doesn't need to be as many people on the earth like it is right now during, the Gentile world. Because the Gentile world is currently passing away. And if that world is passing away, you don't need all of these populations of people anymore because their world is coming to an end. Whether they like it or not, that is exactly what's happening. Their world, it's got to pass away. It's got to come to an end. And this is the ending by not populating the way they once used to. All right. We know the Gentiles were only supposed to rule the world for a few hundred years, and that time has passed. So America is uniquely ill-suited to handle a falling population. This is what one of the economies said. And one of the many representative headlines they've spotted in recent months. The EU faces a major demographic decline. This is according to Euronews. Japan's latest plan to reverse declining birth rate, it's just not working. The North Koreans have one of the lowest birth rates in the world. So all of these societies are trying to figure out ways to increase the amount of babies being born each and every year, and all of them are failing. They're all failing. And we know what barrenness is. Barrenness is a curse. And it just goes to show you America, Europe, and Asia, those curses are on them. It's on them. And you know what? Even here in all of America, Canada and Mexico are also going through a low birth rate. So in the United States, this discussion could be linked to some of April's news for the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. The fertility rate in the United States has decreased by 3% between 2022 and 2023. That is a huge drop. It may not sound significant, but it is if you already had a failing birth rate, which the US does. Aside from a 1% increase in 2021, the pandemic blip may be the eighth year since 2014 that the fertility rate has fallen in America. In 2023, there were 54.4 births per 1,000 females, is a historic low, and below the 2.1 children per woman to be considered replacement level. So America is already below replacement level, which is your 2.1, which is needed to replenish the population. So the headlines and the worrying, because they said a lot of people are worried. So they said, so what is America to do to have more children to save mankind? I don't think America can save mankind because America cannot even save herself. If you can't save yourself, you can't save mankind. And America is not a savior, despite the fact that they believe they are one. America is no savior whatsoever. All right. So there have been studies that shown women and couples are happier if they have more children. No, that's not true. In fact, many show the opposite, that although children may bring some joy in families, they also bring stress to marriages. Do women want to have more children, but somehow feel they're unable to? Or maybe, though it appears that the birth rate is declining, even in countries that have implemented family friendly policies. In other words, they're trying to pay people to have babies. Such extended parental leave. And, of course, that even in Japan, they're trying to give houses away because they got so many empty houses on their economy. They're trying to give it away to couples that have babies. So, what are we exactly talking about? Not enough babies. Where will the nation's economic growth come from? Well, in America, they're hoping it comes from these fence hoppers. They think that's where their growth is going to come from. But we know that's not true because many of them are showing up for the free stuff. And they're very open in telling you. I've seen several videos of these illegals telling you they ain't working. They came for the free stuff. They didn't come here to work. So there aren't enough babies to support the world's view that humanity's purpose is to make more people, to take more jobs, to buy more things to be purchased by more people who will in turn make more babies. And that is not happening. Because of the inflation, people are trying to do less. They're not out here trying to do more, they're trying to do less. So, how can a smaller workforce afford to pay for pensions of a much larger retired population? They won't be able to do it, y'all. They won't be able to do it. It is true when they said one day Social Security will go away. You're not going to have the big populations anymore paying into it. That is true. That is very true. They won't be able to pay for the pensions of retired populations that are much larger. It just won't happen. All right. So these economists, ladies and gentlemen, are from all over the globe that have this concern that there aren't enough babies for the economy. There aren't enough babies to support the world's view that humanity's purpose is what I read before. So let me skip down a little more, which means that this is a problem. And, those who receive Social Security benefits and people that have had jobs and been paying into it, because I know it sure was deducted off of my paycheck, but it seems like a matter for policies, not pregnancies. So Social Security running out, maybe we need more women to get pregnant. Well, that's easier said than done. And I really believe what's happening globally is a combination of women refusing to have babies and genetics. And we know we're in the time of judgment. So, but that's what I think it is. These people physically cannot get pregnant and have babies, they can't do it. So, plenty of researchers studying population decline have attempted to figure out what is happening to begin with. But unfortunately, it turns out the answer is that we really don't know. We don't know what it is. Well, I guess they don't realize the curses are on them. I guess they don't realize it. So, I guess if you don't know who the Most High is, then you wouldn't know that. So, and I think they're almost regretting allowing women access to birth control. So, even if, as in Taiwan, Russia, Italy, and Greece, the governments literally gives women cash money for reproduction, even if, as in South Korea, the government has been addressing the issue from every possible angle, including building a high speed rail system designed to shorten commutes and make more time for family life. The only parts of the world where the birth rate seems to be steady or increasing right now are in places which birth control is hard to come by and where women roles are relegated to domestic labor. Now, who does domestic labor? I know what they're talking about. They're talking about Africa. They're talking about Africa. It is almost as if when women are given a chance to control their own reproduction, and when they have the education to have the option of working outside of the home, and when their society welcomes their contributions in fields beyond motherhood, and when they are paid for their work, it is almost as if leveling the playing field between women and men has allowed women to truly choose how many children they really want to have. This seems like something that shouldn't be anyone's problem, frankly, unless it turns out that the global economic strategic the strategy is actually just a pyramid scheme. Unless it turns out that the sharpest minds in the world have already noodled this problem and their best solution is hoping that the condom breaks. Well, that's not much of a solution. You know what it is, y'all? This is something they can't take control over, and it's bothering the hell out of them. And at the end of the day, that is what it is. These people are control freaks. They like to control and dominate everything. This is something they can't do neither. They can't control it and they can't dominate it. Okay, because the people that are running things are the main ones that can't reproduce. And if you can't reproduce yourself, how are you going to control it in others? You can't. You can't. And it's not just in the Western world, it's wherever them folks are on the globe. They have a problem reproducing. Mm-mm-mm. And as you can see, on an economic level, they have concerns about this worldwide. No, they can't. Like Big Judah said, their blessings are over. And this is another good example of reiterating that it is over. Their blessings are over. There is no need to produce more children in the world because they're not going to be in charge too much longer. So we don't need an explosion of Gentiles on this earth anymore. So he is stopping them from having that explosion of Gentile children everywhere. There's no need for them to do it. They're not going to be in charge too much longer. Well, yeah, the cost is too high. Wania, it is, and that was supposed to happen too towards the end, where the ones that can have children are saying, no, I'm not having children. I can't afford it, or I don't want it. I don't want extra people to take care of when I'm hardly making it. Well, yeah, those migrants, yeah, they are primarily males. So, not unless the women around here, and I don't see too many when I go out and see those migrants, I don't see American women hugged up on them. I don't, and it's too easy for them to leave and just, get out of the country because they really don't add that much to the economy anyway. Many of them get paid, they send a bulk of their money home to their family. And that being said, they're really not boosting the economy like the black community is, where we put trillions out there every single year. They're not doing that. They take part of their money, and I remember when I was still working, there used to be a restaurant I would go to for lunch, and right next to it was a place that had Western Union, and you would see them piled all up in there trying to send money back home to their family. And how is that going to boost your economy? Yeah, you're boosting the economy in somebody else's country, but not here. Yeah, well, that's what W. Nicole 1993, that's what many of them are just openly saying. I heard about all the free stuff here. I want it. I want the free money. I want the free food. I want, and that's why they're coming. They're not coming here to work. That's why I'm laughing at these people every time they trying to convince everyone that these folks are here to work. No, they're not. No, they're not. And they're very open about it. They're not even trying to hide it. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think they're going to get the results that they're looking for from these migrants. I really don't. Mm-mm. replacing the fact that you can't have babies with a bunch of grown men, primarily men coming across the border. I don't see how that's a solution. Not unless those men can reproduce, and we know they can't. But that's what most of them are. Even the ones coming in here from China, it's just a bunch of Chinese men, a bunch of African men that are coming in. And no, how is that going to fix the problem? Mm-mm. Look, y'all, I've been hearing the stories out there about, oh, Biden is trying to bring the Hispanics in to replace the black community. It ain't going to happen, y'all. It ain't going to happen. Number one, the Latino voting bloc in this country, they don't vote like the black community do. They don't. They do not have the same numbers that the black community have. That's why all throughout the election cycle, they're talking about the black vote, the black vote. Oh, Joe Biden's losing the black vote. Donald Trump is going after the black vote. You don't hear Donald Trump trying to go and meet with a bunch of Latinos because they don't vote like we do. They never have, and they never will. I'm sorry, but when it comes down to voting, they're not much of a replacement. And that's my opinion. All you got to do is look at how people vote. And many of them tend to vote Republican. And I think if the Democrats want to make them citizens because they want votes, it's going to be lackluster because they're going to ultimately split. You're going to have some of them voting Democrats, and you're going to have really the majority of them voting Republican. So, no, I don't believe that's a solution. And you will see in November, especially if Joe Biden lose, because we already know. That's why many of us, and I have been chattering about it for months, even in 2023. I said, if Joe Biden lose, they're going to blame the entire thing on the black community, and we got to be prepared to push back. They're going to act like white people didn't vote, Asians, Latinos. They're only going to focus on us as the reason if he loses. They're not going to look at anybody else. And we already know this. They're not going to look at the Latinos if Joe Biden loses. In fact, you probably won't even hear about them. They'll have the black community in the whole news cycle like there's nobody else in this country voting except for the black community. That's what they're going to do. But they're not going to put the burden on the Latinos. You watch. If Joe Biden lose, they're not going to put any of the burden on the Latinos. They're going to put it all on black people in this country. And the media and the politicians are going to be all over it. And that's all you're going to hear over and over and over when Biden loses, that it's the black community that didn't come out. Because James Clyburn is practically doing it now. Misinformation, disinformation. No, y'all have neglected the black community all this time. It ain't no misinformation, disinformation, man. Get out of here with that crap. Ain't nobody listening to that. But just get ready because it's definitely coming. I was looking at an article this morning and it was talking about how in 7 states that Joe Biden carried, Donald Trump is up in 5 of the 7 states. And Joe Biden and the other two is either tied or he's just slightly ahead of Donald Trump. And it's not like we have been hiding. Many of us have been very vocal about the things that we want from the Democratic Party. We have been very vocal. We've been vocal for years now, telling the Democrats what they need to do. But one thing they must understand, you're not going to dupe us into voting for you like you did with that, oh, the George Floyd crime, but no, Police Reform Act. See, you tricked everybody with that. You got in there, you really didn't lobby that bill hard, and then you came back shrugging your shoulders. Oh, we tried. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. You didn't try at all. That bill was never heavily, um, they did not go above and beyond to push that bill, y'all. And then, if anything, shortly after it was up for vote, Jim Clyburn was all in the media talking about taking out qualified immunity. That's why I'm like, y'all full of crap. See, you ain't gonna jam the black community up like that anymore. See, you got away with that one time. You got that one good lick in. You're not going to get away with that after you vote for us and get us in office, bull. That worked one time only. It will never work again. It will never work again. So, y'all just get ready because it's going to be quite a ride up in here. But I'm going to go ahead and conclude. Thank you all for being here. I really appreciate each and every one of you. And I'm coming out with a new hair oil, and it should be out at least by the beginning of next week. I think you're going to really like it. It smells so good. It smells so good. And, just come over to Etsy or Walmart and check it out. I think what I may do is keep the oil, even though the sale is ending on the 30th. I'm going to keep the oil up for sale all through July. I'm going to keep, probably $5 off the original price on Etsy and Walmart, only because I have so much of it. I got a lot of oil that I have infused, to sell. So I'm going to keep that up for sale. And I'm probably going to keep the spray up for sale as well, because I have a lot of that as well. So, y'all, please enjoy the rest of your day, and I will be back again with another topic on another day. Shalom, family.